On behalf of the Glen Ellyn Historical Society, I welcome you and thank you for joining us at the dedication of Ward Plaza in the Glen Ellyn History Park at historic Stacy's Corners. The members of the Historical Society have waited a very long time for this, and I invite all of you to savor the moment with us. Some of you were here 35 years ago today, on July 3rd, 1976, at the dedication of Stacy's Tavern, another benchmark in Glen Ellyn's history. Today, we are a witness to the amazing transformation of this corner through the generosity of some very wonderful donors and many, many dedicated volunteers. This is now truly a gateway to our beautiful Glen Ellyn. For those of us who just came down the street to get here today, and those of you who have traveled for many miles, this event gives us an opportunity to say thank you to Doug and Ruth Ann Ward for their commitment to the Historical Society and their community. Doug and Ruth Ann, it was a very lucky night for all of us when you and your daughters moved into your home just 2 doors down on New Year's Eve in 1977, just 6 short months after the tavern was dedicated. You embraced your new hometown and you shared your time and your talent to help bring our history alive. And I and everyone here thank you for that. Your volunteer spirit has been a wonderful example for all of us. Thank you. Now I ask you all to please turn your attention to Boy Scout Matthew Porter from Troop 46 as he leads the Scouts from Troop 46, 41, and 45 in the flag ceremony.
Please rise for the presentation of the colors. Color guard attention. Forward march. Color guard, prepare the colors. Scout salute. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last
our history is all around us, and it seems fitting to have Senior Minister Lillian Daniel of the First Congregational Church lead us in the invocation. The Congregational Church of Danby, aka Glen Ellyn, was organized and chartered on April 15th in 1862 by 11 people meeting at the Danby Schoolhouse on Duane Street. Since that time, members of all Glen Ellyn churches have played a major role in the growth and development of the village and the Glen Ellyn Historical Society, and we thank them. Reverend Daniel?
Let us pray. Almighty God, we give thanks for the tireless work of the wards and the many volunteers and contributors over the years who have made this dream possible. We give thanks for the miracles that occur when people of goodwill work together. And we pray that this will be a place where we will learn from our history to better prepare us to honor you with our works in the future. Amen.
At this time, I'd like to make some introductions. We have a lot of very important people here today. First of all, the Ward family. There are just a whole bunch of them, and many more than I thought I was going to need chairs for. But we welcome each and every one of you, and we are so glad that you are here to celebrate this wonderful day with Doug and Ruth Ann. I'd also like to acknowledge any of our men in uniform. I know we have one Navy personnel here today who have fought for our country and are keeping us safe. And if there are any others here, again, we thank you as well. I'd like to acknowledge Peter Roscom, who will be speaking to us just very soon. Congressman Roscom was taking some time out of his holiday weekend to spend it with us, and we're so very appreciative. I believe J.R. McBride is here from the DuPage County Board, District 4. Mark Pfefferman, our village president, is here and will be introducing Congressman Roscom. Carl Henninger, village trustee. Vicki Hayes, our immediate past president, is out there somewhere, along with Mike Fermetto, who is a former village president, as well as a current member on the Forest Preserve. He's a Forest Preserve commissioner. Joe Wark is also a past president. Joe, we're happy to have you here. Former village trustees that are here, Michelle Thorsell, I believe she's still around somewhere, although I don't see her. We have Joanne Seaway, who has come from Florida to join us today. Also, we have Police Chief Phil Norton, Stacy Hilsberg, who is a Director of Planning and Development. Mark Franz, our new village manager, had to express his regret in not being able to join us today. He'll be starting his new job in just a couple of weeks, and we are letting him go on a vacation with his family before he has to get down to work. I saw Terry Burkhart earlier, our interim village manager, and we're very glad to have Terry. He has done a great job in keeping the community running while we found a permanent village manager. Also, Melissa Creech, president of the Glen Ellyn Park Board, and Kathy Cornell, who is a Park Board commissioner. If I've missed anybody, I apologize, but we are glad that all of you are here and being part of the celebration today.
Before I get into my remarks, I'd like to say a big thank you to all the volunteers, including Jane Rio, who put this event together today. Didn't they do a great job? I too would like to thank all the folks in the village that have come together for this wonderful community event, including our current village president, Mark Pfefferman, our current trustees, former past presidents, and of course I'd also like to deeply thank Congressman Peter Roscom for being here as well today. This is an important day for us. Who'd ever think 35 years later we'd be in another dedication? 35 years ago, of course, we dedicated Stacy's Tavern. I could start reading from the book Glen Ellyn, A Village Remembered by Bob Chambers and Helen Ward, but we'll keep our remarks a bit briefer today. So I'm going to fast forward 35 years and give you a little bit of history of what's going on here. After Stacy's Tavern was developed, Doug Ward had a vision while standing on his back porch about the History Park, looking out and seeing all these properties, which really were quite unattractive and not the best face of Glen Ellyn from the north entry, and had a dream of putting together parcels of property to create a history park. The History Park concept was developed and endorsed by the village through the decades, and as over time, both volunteers and members of the Glen Ellyn Historical Society developed a conceptual plan that was eventually endorsed by the village's comprehensive plan regarding a history park here at historic Stacy's Corners. As you can see today, it's been remarkably transformed already with this corner. You may recall there was a rather unattractive two-story building here that many people had tried to acquire and tear down for decades. Well, we were successful in getting the building, and as you can see today, with the help of our donors, we were able to get this parcel landscaped and, of course, offer a true dedication to the visionaries behind this process, Doug and Ruth Ann Ward. The park isn't complete. As you can see, there's a lot to be done, but we're here today really to rest on our laurels and celebrate what we've been able to accomplish. The Historical Society, being a very small operation, has raised nearly $3 million to buy land and develop the park. We still have a long way to go, and with the current economic environment, it'll probably take many, many years to finish the park. But this is a way of celebrating what we're able to do with such a small number of people and all being volunteers. I should say that the Historical Society of Glen Ellyn is probably the only historical society in DuPage County that is not taxpayer supported. We rely entirely on community donations, which we're very proud of, and it just shows what tremendous support we have here in the community. I'm deeply, deeply grateful to be associated with such a wonderful group of talented people who give so much of their lives to helping to improve Glen Ellyn. As you know, we reach out to both children through our educational programs and our programming. We reach out also to adults through various types of programming. We have wonderful events year-round, and we have recently opened a retail store, which I hope you'll all have a chance to look at. Our archives and historic research areas are also located in the same building. As you walk the grounds of the park today, take a look. We've got signs all over, and you can visualize what we hope to accomplish, hopefully before the next 35 years. But plans do call for a replication of the Five Springs Mineral Pavilion, a stagecoach barn, period gardens and orchards. It does take money, and we do hope to raise that over time. But again, today is for celebrating, and we're really proud to say that we're just deeply grateful for everyone that's helped to make this park a reality. I would particularly like to thank our donors, both declared and anonymous, for making this come true. Two particular donors, one helped to pay off the debt on this property, and another helped to landscape it. We are most deeply grateful for them. I can't tell you from the bottom of my heart how I feel about all of you for helping us. It's just been a wonderful, wonderful way to celebrate the village and improve the north gateway to the village and provide a real nice public space for the community. So that's where we've come from in the last 35 years. Hopefully you'll all be looking forward to more changes going forward. We will be, and we've got a lot more exciting things down the road to celebrate. In the meantime, please enjoy the grounds today. Walk around, take a look at what might be. Enjoy the plaza here. And again, I want to thank you all for coming. And I also want to truly thank Doug and Ruth Ann for the visions and the amount of time and dedication you've given the park over the year. Doug and Ruth Ann, I wouldn't have taken this role hadn't it been for you. You really were our spiritual leaders in this, and I just love you so much. I'm so deeply grateful to know you both. So again, this day is for you. We're so proud of you. You two are the gems of Glen Ellyn, and we just love you a lot. So thank you again.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to introduce Congressman Roxton, and I'm also honored to bring the village board's good wishes to the wards and to all of you here in this celebration. You know, people have parades to attend and barbecues and other events this weekend, and they're relaxing, and what an amazing turnout for Glen Ellyn and the wards. So thank you all for coming and braving the thing. Isn't this great? You will not meet finer people than the wards, and it's been just a privilege knowing you, and thank you very much. And Ruth Ann,
Martha and I and the boys keep forgetting our membership, but I brought it today, so I think the wards represent a lot of the individual contributors of their time, talent, and treasure to make this park a reality, and we can't thank them enough. And that was topped off, as you know, by 2 anonymous donors last year that also made this dream come true. So thank you for helping the Historical Society, thank you for helping your neighbors, and thank you for helping Glen Ellyn. What a tremendous representation. I can't, you know, this represents all that's good here in Glen Ellyn. History, aesthetics, young, old, hard work, and especially public, nonprofit, and private partnerships. And I think that's what helped America grow, and that's what's helping keeping Glen Ellyn so strong. So the wards, just look at your family and just be amazed at all of them that showed up, and then look at all the community that showed up. Again, I bring a proclamation. I won't read it because Jane said to keep it very short, but from the village board recognizing your efforts. Peter Roscom grew up in Glen Ellyn about the same time that I did. He's much more preserved, which is great. And we're welcome. We really appreciate Peter taking the time out of his busy schedule and trying to make the country better to recognize all of your efforts here in Glen Ellyn. So, Peter, once again, thank you for participating. We'll see you today. We'll see you tomorrow in our parade, and we really appreciate you being here. So, thank you. You're on. Thank you.
Well, Mr. and Mrs. Ward, it is a testament to you that something is named after you while you are here to enjoy it. Normally, in public life, people are a little bit reticent to name things after politicians in particular until they're gone for a century. So it's a testament to you that the people that know you best have a high level of confidence that of your leadership and your service. And I know that you're a reflection of what has made Glen Ellyn great. So, I know I join with your family and many friends here today to honor you and to thank you for your service. You know, today really is a reflection on how we interact with one another as generations. One thing that brings everybody together is we all move from one generation to another, don't we? We all interact on a general basis and a generational basis, and it is an experience that brings us all together. And sometimes when generations interact with one another, you can see that it doesn't go well, right? We know that from history. One generation will take a blessing that has been given to them, and what have they done? We know history is full of this. They've squandered that blessing, or they've turned something good into something bad, ultimately, by bad stewardship and foolishness, and ultimately squandering. But today, what we're witnessing and what we're celebrating is the exact opposite. It's taking something that has been a blessing and making it even better. And I think, as I reflect on growing up on Hill Avenue in Glen Ellyn, that is one of the themes that has come back to me over and over and over again. Appreciating this community and this community's ability to bring people together on a cooperative basis to ultimately create a wonderful result. Reverend Daniels, in her invocation, referenced that. When she invoked a blessing today, one of the things that she thanked God for was the ability to work together cooperatively. I'm paraphrasing, but I'm getting the pastoral nod. And that is the ability to cumulatively come together. And I just look out over this place and in this town, and it doesn't matter where you go in the country, it doesn't matter where you go in the world. Many, many people, when you begin to describe Glen Ellyn, they'll say, oh, I understand a town like that. A town that's proud of its history and yet is very, very instructive in trying to bring younger people together. When people say, and sometimes they reflect and they think, oh, the best days of the United States of America are past, I say nonsense. Look at the example of those students over there today celebrating what? Celebrating in symbol who we are as a nation, celebrating in song who we are as a nation, And I personally feel pretty good about a town that is producing that type of young talent, not just for the sake of talent, but ultimately incorporating that talent into what? Into a sense of stewardship. We have all been entrusted with incredible things, each and every one of us. Now, whether it's the circumstance of the wards moving into an area in 1977 and having the gift of vision and being able to see something and actually see something that is a possibility, that's a great gift. Many of us don't have the gift of vision. But we all have a gift. And we all have a way to participate and ultimately a way to make our community better. So I'm sensitive to many people that are standing in the sun, and I don't want to wear out my welcome, but I just want to close by saying this. This community of Glen Ellyn, Illinois is unique, and it is a special place. And it is a special place because it is wisely understanding the heritage that has been given to it, and it is wisely using that heritage and not squandering it, but keeping it for this generation and for future generations. And so Mr. and Mrs. Ward, today, you're the symbol of that. You're a symbol that we celebrate. And not to embarrass you, but it is to say we are deeply appreciative of your leadership and your sense of service and sacrifice, I imagine, that has helped make this a great day in the history of Glen Ellyn, and a great day for all of us. So thank you, and God bless you.
Well, first, thank you to all of you who have shown up here. I'd like to speak for Ruth Ann, but I can't really do that. Ruth Ann can speak for herself, but this is just a wonderful day for both of us. This has been a long activity for both Ruth Ann and myself to see this come about and to see the beautification of this corner actually occur. I'd like to thank Jane and Joe Wark in particular, and Dan Anderson for an enormous amount of work, and Bill Peterson for putting all this together. I am going to mention three people that aren't here because they had a great deal to do with the fact that we're here, and they're not here. They passed away in the last 10 years, and I think we should remember their memory. One is Keith Nichols. Keith Nichols had the vision of purchasing Stacy's Tavern and founding the Historical Society and having the village board take the action to establish the Glen Ellyn Historical Society in the mid-1960s. And there's a memorial tree right behind me with a plaque on it to Keith Nichols. And the first person I called when we established the committee to develop the history park was Keith Nichols. And he was reluctant to join me, but he did, because his health wasn't that good. And he has since passed away. And he became our partnership with the village government in developing this activity. And I think it's important to remember people like Keith. Now, the second person I'm going to mention is Gary Webster, because this park would not have existed without the support and the ongoing support of our village manager for 20 years, Gary Webster. And Gary Webster has passed away. And I worked many, many hours with Gary Webster, explaining and designing and working out the details of how this park would come together and how we had to work together with the village to make this event happen. And he was always a strong supporter of the history of this village and the partnership between the Historical Society and the role that the village plays in remembering its history. And it's important to remember people like Gary as we do these kinds of events. He was an employee of the village, but that's okay. And he had a great sense of what this village was all about. So let's remember Gary Webster. Now the third one is Cliff Gower, and Mary is here. And Cliff Gower and Mary Gower were the ones that launched the volunteer financial effort that put the money together through the volunteers. And I met with them up at Kai's restaurant after we put the vision together for the park. And they immediately said, what can we do to help? And they were incredible in helping us put the financing of this entire project together. And I want to especially give recognition to Cliff Gower, who's not with us now, and to Mary Gower for the role that they played in putting all of this together, because they've been in a long time supporters of the Historical Society and the integrity of this village. So I bring you those three folks who I think are important kinds of recognition that we all should remember. So here we have Keith Nichols, Gary Webster, and Cliff Gower and Mary Gower as people that we all should remember. So thank you all for being here. This is a wonderful event, and thank you. Ruth Ann has been just wonderful. I wouldn't have done this. Ruth Ann turned to me once and she says, why don't you do something important? I was sitting around the house doing nothing much, and she says, why don't you join the Historical Society and do something important? So here we are. So thank you, Ruth Ann.
Doug and Ruth Ann, would you like to help pull off the, on this date, we formally dedicate the plaza. Now the plaque will be actually set into the stone, which will be done, but the official plaque reads Doug and Ruth Ann Ward Plaza, Glen Ellyn History Park, dedicated July 3rd, 2011. So with that, we hereby dedicate Ward Plaza. Couldn't be a better fitting tribute to the both of you. So stop, everybody stop by again when it's set in stone. This is our new boulder that we had a lot of fun times acquiring. So, and I thank Dan Anderson for making the boulder possible. So there's a little funny story behind this. We tried to get the actual Ackerman boulder, which is across the street, but we realized that a huge part of the boulder was buried underground. It was much like the Titanic. It actually lifted the bulldozer off its wheels. The rock was heavier, so it rather derailed the process. So we acquired a smaller boulder, and the Ackerman boulder will forever rest in its place in Stacy Park across the street. So anyway, well, thank you all for coming again today. I'll pass the mic over to Jane, but I believe this concludes the ceremony at this point, and we want to thank everybody for coming. Please feel free to stroll through the park. There will be refreshments, and the store, of course, is open if you'd like to take a look. But again, I want to thank everybody for coming today, and especially to Congressman Peter Rostam for being here.